We're going to call Akron City Council meeting to order. Clerk will read the roll.
Freeman, Fusco, Hoke, Kaler, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amobian, Samples, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky.
For those who voluntarily wish to do so, will you please stand at this time? We're going to be led in prayer by Councilman Freeman. Immediately following our prayer, I'm going to ask if Councilwoman Amobian could lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Bow our heads together. Father, we thank you that of all the things that we know, all the things we don't know, we know that you are love, and we know that you've told us that the king's heart, the leader's heart is in your hand, and that you turn whithersoever you will. And we ask tonight that we might be aware of our need for your wisdom, and we might be aware of our own inadequacies, and that we might look to you for wisdom and understanding. We pray these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk will read the minutes from our previously held meeting.
Minutes from the July 22nd, 2019 meeting. Council convened a regular session at 7 p.m. with President Somerville and the chair. All members were present. Minutes of the previous regular meeting were approved. 12-0, Neal abstained. Reading of petitions and communications. Passage of the consent agenda. Report of standing and special committees. Passage and referral of new ordinances and resolutions. Representation from various departments and divisions. Public speaking period. No further business on a motion by Fusco. Council adjourned at 7:32 p.m. to reconvene in regular session on July 29th for 2019 or special call.
Any corrections or additions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, and one abstention.
Okay.
Letters, petitions, and communications.
Assessment Equalization Board report for the 2019 street lighting and cleaning per resolution 154, 2019.
File.
Notice of transfer D5 liquor permit to the Remade Incorporated doing business as Cyberling Brothers Event Center, 355 The Brooklands.
File. Before you, you have the consent agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Roll call and final passage. Freeman, Fusco, Hoke, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Mobian, Samples, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky.
Before we move into our old business, we do have Katie Fry, who is here, who would like to address council just briefly as relates to the new grant program on the table. Push the button.
Okay,
Much
there we go.
better.
Thank you. So thanks for the opportunity to speak tonight. How many of you are familiar with On the Table? Have you heard of it before? Yay, okay, great. The City of Akron has been sponsoring this, been one of the super hosts for the last 3 years, so I'm glad that you're familiar with it, and I'm hoping that you all will understand a little bit more about it tonight, and that you'll be willing, that you want to participate. This is the 3rd year for On the Table. It's sponsored by the Akron Community Foundation and the Knight Foundation. We have over 12,000 residents that have participated in the last 2 years for hundreds of mealtime conversations. The biggest question is, what can we do to strengthen our community together? And we gather the data by using a survey, which is either a paper survey, a texting survey, or an online survey. So there's a lot of opportunities to gather that data. The City of Akron is using that data as we speak to make decisions, such as the Beyond the Table grants have come from what's come out of the original first two on the table conversations. Other grants, the Community Foundation has granted $50,000 for on-the-table grants to 26 local organizations this past year. A couple of ideas that came through were Project Grad got $2,000 for the Bridge of Technology for grandparents and parents who are not familiar with Chromebook to help them sort of understand how to use Chromebooks so they can help their students. So there were 26 of these grants that came out to the community, and your constituents may apply for these grants of up to $2,000 this coming year. So that's one opportunity. I know you already meet with your constituents on a regular basis, and so perhaps you can host an on-the-table conversation, and then they may be able to receive one of these grants also. The 2019 priorities for this year would be diversity, equity, and social inclusion, our aging seniors, and drugs and addiction. And this year there will be twice as many grants that will go out. There will be $100,000 in grants from the Akron Community Foundation. And as I said, your constituents could apply for these. The conversations will have to be about one of those three priorities. So if you want to talk, there's a lot of opportunity for diversity, equity, and social inclusion. You all have seniors in your communities, and drugs and addiction are prevalent everywhere we go. And so the idea for the grant would have to come out of one of the conversations, and the individuals would need to have a fiscal sponsor for that. The money is not given just directly to individuals. So that could be a church, it could be a nonprofit organization. Excuse me, and there's no limit to the number of grants that could come to one organization or one neighborhood. So you could get 10 from your community if that's something that you're really focused on for your community. So just summing it up in the details for this year is that the on-the-table conversations are held on October 3rd, either 1 week before or 1 week after that. But it's host-driven, so hosts, which could be you or someone in your community, would invite 8 to 12 participants per conversation. It's a 60 to 90-minute conversation. The host chooses the topics that they want the group to discuss. We call it On the Table because the conversations are around food. The idea is that we're breaking bread together. It's not about sitting at a meeting and taking notes. It's about visionary ideas for how we can strengthen our community, our city of Akron. There are gift cards that are available for resident, meals. So the Akron Community Foundation provides gift cards to provide the food for the meals if the need is there. And we suggest that they're held anywhere in the community centers, churches, if it's nice outside, a park, a restaurant. We do encourage diversity in the conversations. Don't invite your 8 best friends to sit down and talk, but try to get people who have different opinions together. And then remember that the surveys are really important because the data that comes out of that is used by the city, the county, and many local organizations. So I thank you very much for your attention, and I hope that you all participate. You can get more information at the website, which is onthetableakron.org. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Fry, for sharing that information. We're now going to move into our old business rules. Councilwoman Keith.
Thank you, Madam President. We would like time on number 1.
Time will be granted on item number 1.
Time on item number 2. This is the old agenda.
Time on item number 2.
On number 3, there was an adverse report out of committee today.
And so what we're going to do, Councilwoman Keith, we do have a substitute that was provided to us. So in order for us to address the substitute piece, we're going to have a motion to go into committee as a whole.
Motion to go into committee as a whole. Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Okay.
Oh, there's that.
I'd like to request a motion to appoint Marilyn Keith as the chair of the committee as a whole. Is there a motion? So moved. Is there a second? Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. The ayes have it. Okay, very good. I'd like to recognize the chair of the committee, Marilyn Keith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We were given a amendment to the adverse piece that we just voted on, and the amendment, would you like to read it in,
You want me to?
Mr. Clerk?
Sure. These first three paragraphs?
I think just I think probably just the lead, right?
Just the first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Description.
Offered by Councilman Kilby, ordinance authorizing and directing the submission to the electors of the City of Akron a proposal to amend sections 3, 4, 13, 28, and 113 of the Charter of the City of Akron to replace the municipal primary elections with the nomination petitions and establish nonpartisan municipal elections in the City of Akron. In order to eliminate the cost of the primary election for the Akron taxpayers, increase voter participation to the general election, uphold the voting rights of military service members, and improve government accountability to be voted upon the next general citywide election on November 5th, 2019, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. I would like to now hear from the sponsor. It would be Councilman Kilby.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Oh, it's on. It's on, right? The light don't light up, but it's on. Anyways, the law director gave us a memorandum today. I brought this in about 3 weeks ago, and they finally got around to giving me their opinion, and I had it changed so all sections of the charter will be taken care of, because it was 3 other sections of the charter where they talk about primaries. So if you look at this here substitute, the changes are highlighted. So every single one of the law director's objections is taken care of. So I think time has come for Akron to go to nonpartisan elections, and there's been a lot of talk why people don't vote in the primary. We don't know why. Maybe they're not interested, maybe they don't understand the process. So why do we need a primary? Let's have an election, and people will be nominated with their petitions. And if you look at the second page here, it talks about candidates for at-large and the mayor
No one ever gave it to me.
need 50 signatures from anybody in the city of Akron. And candidates for the ward seats
need 50 signatures of electors from their ward. Electors just means voters. So this would do away with the politics, and I believe it would bring about a better city government. It would open up the system to every voter and not just the ones that want to declare a party. So if you're opposed to this, that's fine, but it's the law department's objections have been taken care of in this substitute. So if you're against it for whatever reason, that's fine, but the reasons that the law department laid out have been taken care of. So with that, I would ask this council to let the people decide. Let the people decide whether they think this is good or not good. It would save money. It would definitely increase the turnout, and naturally it would take care of the overseas ballots because it's done way ahead of time. So these are all the things that last year the charter change that was sold to the voters was supposed to do, and it didn't do any of those. This would. So with that, I would ask this council to vote yes on this substitute charter amendment and put it on the ballot for November 5th.
And Councilman Kilby, your original ordinance was submitted to the Law Department on July, or not even, on July the 12th, I have here from the original, correct? And then on the 15th at our committee meeting, Councilman Fusco asked if it had been vetted by the Law Department. And I requested that, with your okay, that it be vetted. And just to keep everybody in tune here, so that was on the 15th, we requested the Law Department to look at it. And today, on the 29th, we have received a memorandum from Director of Law Eve Belfonte, and with a few notes here on legal concerns, which then today, after our meeting, you had a substitute offered as an amendment that was brought in today that was read in by the clerk. Just so when we're talking about these pieces, I say this just so that we're all on the same page with what has transpired and what we have before us right now. Okay, having said that, is there anyone who would like to comment? And I will just take one comment from every person before I take a second comment from anyone. So, President Somerville.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a question for the sponsor. I know that you mentioned that you've gone back through and you've made all the necessary changes that the Law Department asked of you. And I notice on this revision, it still has the authors as the Law Department. So I'm wondering if you had someone to revise it, whether it was an attorney, whether it was yourself, just trying to see if probably their name should be listed on this piece of legislation.
Well, I had a team of attorneys work on it, and the, I don't know why it says Eve, I don't know why that's there, but the attorney that drafted it works at the law firm for Warner Mendenhall. It's a young man, his first name is Logan, so, and every one of the law directors' objections has been taken care of with this amendment. All 5 sections of the charter that talks about primary will be eliminated, and it wasn't that difficult. They did it within an hour. It's amazing when you have someone motivated to do something, how fast they can do it, as opposed to somebody that's not motivated to do it. So I wish the Law Department would have given us this memorandum a while back so we could have done this earlier and not have to wait till the last council meeting of the summer. So,
thank you.
Anyways.
Thank you, Councilman Kilby.
By attorneys. That's true.
Okay. So was that answered to? Okay. Does anyone else have a comment or a question in the horseshoe? Anyone? No, I mean, am I missing anyone?
No,
Okay.
I would,
I would just like to say that as I look at the memorandum, it says, it wasn't objections, it was concerns that I see on the memorandum. So what you have done, Councilman Kilby, is addressed any, had other lawyers address any legal concerns here. Council, anyone else before I call? Yep. Councilman Fusco, may I go to you?
I'd like to recommend an adverse report.
Okay, that's a motion for an adverse report?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have something? Okay. I have a motion for an adverse report. I have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Roll call, please, Mr. Clerk. A voice vote, roll call, please.
Freeman. Fusco.
Aye.
Hoke. Kamer. Keith.
Aye.
Kilby. Milkovich. Samples. Neal. Amobian. Sims. Somerville.
Aye.
Swirsky.
Aye.
Okay, very good. Chair, you have the recommendation of the committee. Now I'd like...
Could we find out what the vote amounted to? I'm
8
sorry.
yeses, 5 noes.
Okay.
The measure.
Okay. I apologize,
Committee meeting, right?
Mr. Chair.
I'd like to ask for a motion to adjourn the committee as a whole. Is there a motion?
Motion?
Motion to adjourn committee of the whole.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you.
See ya.
Yeah, we still have to vote on it. Right. That's just a recommendation of the committee.
Madam President, Madam President, we, as committee as a whole, we have voted on the amendment to number 3 on our old legislation, and the report was adverse. Okay, and the vote was 8 to 5?
8 to 5
8 to
against
5.
the adverse report.
Okay, for the adverse.
for
For the
I'm
adverse
sorry,
report.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Just
Okay,
contradict.
and on number 4, Madam President, we would like...
I think we actually have to, we
Oh,
have
I
to vote on that.
apologize.
Yeah, so
I
no
was going a
problem.
little bit too fast.
So the committee's report is adverse. So all in favor of the adverse report, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Roll call.
Roll call, Freeman. Fusco. Hope. Kamer. Keith.
Aye.
Kilby. Milkovich. Samples. Neal. Amobian. Sims. Somerville.
Aye.
Swirsky.
Aye.
Same report. 8 yeses, 5 no.
Okay.
Madam President, on number 4 on our old agenda, I would like time,
Time will be granted
And
on
a
item number
number-
4.
and on number 5, time.
Time will be granted on item number 5.
Okay.
Okay, hold on 1 second. No, wait 1 second. Before we continue with our old agenda, we do have a special presentation that we would like to take out of order, and that is item number 1, and that is the resolution congratulating Diane Miller Dawson. So we're going to have the clerk to read that piece in for us.
You ready? Offered by Mayor Horrigan, a resolution congratulating Diane Miller Dawson on the occasion of her retirement and her many career achievements, thanking her for her dedicated service to the city of Akron and wishing her well in all her future endeavors and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, and I'm actually going to turn it over to Councilwoman Keith, and you can let us know how the committee, what their pleasure was, and then we'll open it up for comments.
President Somerville, the committee's report was favorable, and we're asking for suspension of the rules. And I don't think I need to say more than that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We want to open up the floor if there's any other council members that would like to make a comment on this piece. Councilman Fusco.
Yes, thank you, President Somerville. I've had the honor and the blessing to serve with Diane Miller Dawson over, it's only a couple years, not many, over many, many, many years. And the thing of it is like, during that time, obviously the city of Akron financially has seen, and many of us have been here for that, some pretty good times and some very, very difficult times. And the thing about Diane Miller Dawson is this: she will not sugarcoat it. She will tell you the way it is, and that's what you want in a budget and finance director. She has done an outstanding job for the citizens of Akron in her 5-year career here. Is that it? Or 6? I can't remember. But we, and those of you, all of us here, have worked with Diane Miller Dawson, and she's great to work with, fantastic. And like I said, and you just got to watch for her jokes sometimes, because she's pretty quick on a joke, that's for sure. But she's been great for the city of Akron, especially during those tough times that we had, like in 2008, 2009. During those recession times, she had really done a great job for the citizens of Akron. And I have to tell you this, and that is, I certainly believe, as someone who's been around for a long time, that the city of Akron is a better place because of the service of Diane Miller Dawson. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. I know Mayor Horrigan has some comments.
First of all, thank you. I don't think if there's anybody that deserves every accolade and every award for her dedication and service to the city, to me personally and to previous administrations and everybody, it's Diana Miller Dawson. She doesn't like a whole lot of fanfare. She likes to fly under the radar a little bit. But when you look at the impact that she's had, not only around the people around this table, but it's across the country. People listen to her. Markets listen to Diana Miller Dawson, and her peers listen to her. So on behalf of me and my family and everybody here, it's been an honor to serve with you. There's nobody's trust who I wanted to win more and more quickly than Diane's. And the joke is, hey, we have to be able to buy something. Let's go ask Diane. Let's not ask the mayor, because she's that good. She knows, and she knew, and she dedicated her life to the city of Akron. And this city is better off for it. I am better off for it. We'll always miss you. I know you're a phone call away, but congratulations. We miss you, and we all love you very much. So thank you.
Are there any other comments? Councilman Freeman?
As budget chair here the past few years, thank you for making very complicated budget look not simple, but to make some sense. And I think your leadership is to be commended from what you've done personally You're also leaving at a time where we're ahead of income tax receipts right now from where we were last year. What a great time to leave. And then also just watching the folks that work, I don't want to say under you because I see a lot of kind of a level field, but they have highest regards for you. But thank you so much for everything you've done, Diane, and thank you for making the job of budget chair. Boy, fun and numbers, those two words just don't go together, but thank you for making it everything you have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councilwoman Keith?
Diane, I want to add my thanks. I'll do it this way. Diane worked her way up to the role that she's in now. And for a woman to hold this role and to do it so well is really a tribute to how hard you have worked. And she's been a model for me. And what I know it was tough. I know you've had some really, really tough years. But now when we're starting to get a little bit of wind underneath our sail, and some people want to buy the boat, you're going, nope, nope. You are ethical. You are so on the mark with the advice that you give us, and you were with us during with the city through some tough times, and as the mayor said, you're like family. Well, this is our family. As many hours as we put in, this is our family. So, sister, we're going to miss you, okay? But I know you're going to do well. Congratulations on many levels for achieving what you have achieved and sharing with this city all that you have shared. We love you.
Councilwoman Amobian?
Diane, I think I'm the only Delta in the room, and my attire is by accident only, but it is very appropriate. I certainly want to congratulate you, and I think listening to Councilwoman Keith make the statement about the role model you have been for women, but just think about the young girls, the young black girls who have watched you for a number of years be a part of a senior level position in an administration where you have $400 more millions of dollars budget that you were overseeing. That speaks volumes. Not only that, all of the service that you have given to this community, and including Delta Sigma Theta Sorority. So on behalf of the City of Akron, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, we congratulate you, we honor you, and we hope you do well in your future endeavors. I can remember sitting on the other side of the Joint Board of Review against you with the school district. At least we were on the same table. Sometimes we may have differed with regard to different things about the financing of the school systems, but just think of all of the initiatives that you've been a part of and how that will follow you for the rest of your life. So thank you so very much, and congratulations.
Are there any other comments from any other council members? All right. I know our clerk, Mr. Keith, would like to offer comments. We'll let him this time.
My nickname for her is Dr. No. She just says, before you get your request out, no, we don't have it. And she doesn't even, it's just automatic. But the last couple weeks, I said, Diane, I would really like to get some nice chairs for council members. She says, go ahead and order them. Put in the recommendation. I said, seriously. She goes, put them in. Steve verified it. So, I'm going to order them tomorrow. I don't know when you're leaving, but you'll have that requisition upstairs real quick. Thank you. Beautiful job. You were tough. I'm telling you, you were tough. Not as tough as her, but tough.
Thank you. Mr. Hardy?
Thank you. Just for a moment, Madam President, a point of personal privilege. Annie, myself, Tamika, and Ellen, and the youngins here at City Hall, I think I speak on behalf of them that when we came here 4 years ago, we didn't know where the bathrooms were. In some cases, at least I didn't. And there were every reason, I'm sure, for our more seasoned colleagues on cabinet to let us just work it out. And I think it's important for the public to know that one of the great legacies that Diane is leaving is that all of her kids, myself included, that she took under her wing and taught the ropes and the right way of serving in city government. We're still here, and we're still going to do it the Diane way. Thanks.
Thank you so much. One last time, any other council members that would like to offer a comment? Councilwoman Sims?
Thank you, Madam President. I said I wasn't going to say anything, but I know this opportunity only comes in once in a lifetime. I've had the privilege to know Diane Miller Dawson outside of government, and I just want to say that you are truly a class act by every stretch of the imagination. I remember a few years back, because it is a very prideful thing, I think, as an African-American female, to see the role that you have played over the years and how you've made next generation believe that it's possible. I too, I'm not one of your kids. I think I'm about right up there with you. But there wasn't a time since I've been on council that I couldn't call you in good counsel. I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. I know that this is not the last I will see of you. I thank you for representing so very, very, very well. And I can honestly say that I love you, and I wish you so much more success in the future, and thank you.
Thank you. So I guess, one more. Mr. Somerville, I guess we'll let you speak too.
Thank you, Madam President. First of all, it's kind of a sad day for me because Diane's office is right next to mine, and Diane keeps me on point. I mean, I would probably be a lot worse to deal with. It wouldn't be for her calming me down sometimes. And I've been with her when we've gone to Chicago, or if we went to New York to talk to the bond rating agencies. And that's not a woman thing, but from an African-American perspective, she handled her business. We went in there, she convinced those people on Wall Street that we knew about our finances and that she knew about everything they asked her. They asked her stuff that I never even thought nobody would know, but she would know, and she would come up and tell us. You know, the city should be very thankful to her, because even though the former administration had ideas about how to do certain things, it was Diane's position to get all the financial information together and put it all in a package and submit it to the people on Wall Street. A number of things that we did had never been done before. One thing was the JEDs. Akron was the first. She played a key role in putting those numbers together and making sure that to this day we receive $17 million a year because of her efforts in working in that area. Also, when we talked about building new schools, community learning centers, no one in the country had ever done that before. But Diane was along with the mayor at the time, and Sylvester Small and myself and some other individuals, we were able to convince Wall Street that this was a good thing to do. And after we did that, we saw other people around the country were doing the same thing. So, Diane, I'm going to really miss you. I know you're going to be across the street, but that's still not close enough to me. And when I came into my office today, she put a box of tissue on my desk. So when I cry when she's not there, I guess. I don't know. But I just want to say how much I really appreciate you. I've been knowing your husband since junior high school. We went together at West Junior High School. I remember when you got married, I picked you up for your wedding and took you to the reception and all that. And I've tried to be your friend and tried to support both of you wherever I could. And I will continue to do that. And I also know if I need a loan, I know where to go.
Thank you so much. I guess I'll go ahead and conclude. Just want to say, Diane, we're really going to miss you. I just want to thank you so much from day one. I'm telling you, whatever questions that I might have or whatever, you always just want to take the time just to let me know what was going on, what would happen, everything. And I just appreciate you so much for that. I just want to thank you because it's been all of your hard work that has really made this council shine. So thank you so much for all that you do. We're going to miss you. We know you're going to be right down the street, so we'll be checking in on you. And at this time, before we take a vote, would you like to offer some comments?
I swore I wasn't going to say anything. I'm not going to cry, but I would just make the comment, you know, it's all because of my relationship with God. I mean, that's the only reason we got through so many difficult days. And the other comment is, it all goes so fast. It's like I just started. But I've been really lucky. I've worked with a lot of great people, the Mayor, Marco, other cabinet members, and they together helped make everything I did just easier. So it wasn't me, it was all of us. So thank you.
So we have a motion for mayor and council as a whole. Is there a second? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
For mayor and council as a whole, roll call, final passage: Freeman, Fusco, Hoke, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Abobian, Samples, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky.
All right. We will now move back into our old business, budget and finance. Councilman Freeman.
Committee met this afternoon, and the report is favorable, and we ask for suspension of the rules.
Any objections? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Yes, after a lot of negotiations, this ordinance will approve an agreement between the city and FOP, ASME, CSPA, and then all non-bargaining, management, and unclassified employees regarding adjustments to compensation for the next 3 years. And with that, we ask for its passage.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended, and the committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. No. Any opposed? Roll call.
Roll call. Freeman.
Aye.
Fusco. Hoke. Kamer. Aye. Keith. Aye. Kilby. Aye. Milkovich. No. Samples. Aye. Neal. Aye. Movian. Aye. Sims. Aye. Somerville.
Aye.
Swirsky.
Aye.
$11 ayes, 1 abstention, 1 no. The measure passed.
Thank you. Councilman Freeman?
Yes. Our second item, committee met this afternoon, and our request is for suspension of the rules.
Any objections? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
This ordinance, again, will enable us to enter into an agreement with the aforementioned unions as well as non-bargaining management and unclassified. They'll be affected by this regarding health care benefits, and with that, we ask for its passage.
The rules have been suspended, and the committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No. Roll call.
Okay, wait a minute. I got too many pads. Freeman.
Aye.
Fusco. Hoke. Kamer. Aye. Keith. Aye. Kilby. Aye. Milkovich. No. Samples. Aye. Neal. Amobian? Sims? Somerville?
Aye.
Swirsky?
Aye.
Ten in favor of the measure, 2 abstentions, 1 no.
Thank you. This evening, we do have 4 public hearings. So if there's anyone here in the audience that is here to speak on any of our 4 public hearings, I'm going to ask if you can please stand at this time so that you may be sworn in by a member of our law department.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, say I do. Thank you.
Sorry. Do another step. Here we go. I'm sorry. All right, legal notice. Notice is hereby given that the following public hearing will be held by the Council of the City of Akron on Monday, July 29th, 2019, during the regular council meeting at 7 p.m. in Akron City Council Chambers, 166 South High Street, upon an ordinance authorizing conditional use to expand the cemetery at 2696 Romig Road.
Mr. Antonucci?
Thank you, Madam President, members of council. Green Lawn Cemetery Association is seeking approval to incorporate an additional acre of land at the southeast corner of the Memorial Park Garden. Green Lawn Memorial Park would transform the additional land into a park-like setting for inurnment and a cremation garden. A drive at the south end of the site would provide access from Romig Road to a parking area for 16 vehicles. Fencing would be provided along the south and west sides of the property. The occasional ceremonies and visitations are solemn by nature, and the proposed memorial garden should have little impact on surrounding properties. Both Planning Commission and Planning staff recommend approval, subject to conditions.
Thank you. Is there anyone here in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this ordinance? Is there anyone here that would like to speak in favor? Is there anyone here in the audience to speak against? Anyone here to speak against? Seeing and hearing none, we will close the public hearing. Councilman Fusco.
Thank you, President Somerville. I'd like to pull the committee for a favorable report with suspension of the rules. Amobian? Kamer? Neal? Saworski?
Any objections? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Yes, thank you. There's 7 conditions that the petitioners have agreed to meet. I know that the planning department and commission, as well as the ward council person, are in favor of this. And Barberton also, this property is partially in Barberton as well. They have already approved this, and so therefore we're recommending approval this evening.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Roll call and final passage. Freeman, Fusco, Hope, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amobian, Sample, Sim, Somerville, Swirsky. Okay. Public hearing number 2. Notice is hereby given that the following public hearing will be held by the Council of the City of Akron on Monday, July 29th, during the regular council meeting, 7 p.m. in Akron City Council Chambers, 166 South High Street, upon an ordinance authorizing conditional use to place an oversized sign at 985 Gorge Boulevard.
Mr. Antonucci.
Thank you, Madam President, members of council. Akron Public Schools is requesting permission to place a new monument sign along the west side of Gorge Boulevard. Conditional use is necessary for this second monument sign. The new sign will be set along Gorge Boulevard in the grassy area between the corner of Talmadge Avenue and Gorge Boulevard and the parking lot entrance. It's to be a double-sided, non-illuminated, freestanding monument sign painted white with vinyl graphics. North High School is one of 8 sites in the city that hosts the college and career academies. The purpose of the sign is to identify their location and assist with wayfinding. The traffic engineer determined the sign will not be a site obstruction. The design was reviewed and approved by Urban Design and Historic Preservation Commission at their meeting this past July 2nd, and both Planning Commission and Planning staff recommend approval.
Thank you. Is there anyone here in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this ordinance? Anyone here in the audience to speak in favor? Is there anyone here in the audience to speak against? Anyone here to speak against? Seeing and hearing none, we will close our public hearing. Councilman Fusco.
I'd like to pull a committee for a favorable report with suspension of the rules. Amobian, Kamer, Neal, Swirsky.
Any objections? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Yes, thank you. The Planning Department recommended approval of this particular signage. I know that the Urban Design and Historic Preservation Commission reviewed this as well. There's plenty of frontage on Gorge. There's an existing sign on Talmadge Avenue as well, but we believe that this would be in the city's best interest and the petitioners to approve this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended, and the committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Roll call, final passage. Freeman, Fusco, Hoke, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amobian, Sample, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky. Okay. Third public hearing. Notice hereby given that the following public hearing will be held by the Council of the City of Akron on July 29th during the regular council meeting at 7 p.m. Council Chambers, 166 South High Street, upon ordinance authorizing conditional use to construct a detached garage at 832 Chester Avenue.
Mr. Antonucci.
Madam President, members of council, Scott Canis intends to replace the current one-car garage with a new two-car garage to be located on the wide side yard area. The new two-car garage would measure 19 feet by 24 feet. The structure would be situated 5 feet from the west or side property line, would be aligned with the neighboring garage to the west. The petitioner desires to increase the usability and attractiveness of the rear yard area. Relocating the garage to the side yard will increase the amount of usable open space on his property. The new attractive garage would provide storage for the family's vehicles and lawn equipment and would only be used for residential purposes. The proposed improvements represent a significant investment in the property and should have a positive impact on the neighborhood, and both Planning Commission and Planning staff recommend approval, subject to conditions.
Thank you. Is there anyone here in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this ordinance? Anyone here that would like to speak in favor? Is there anyone here that would like to speak against? Anyone that would like to speak against? Seeing and hearing now, we will close our public hearing. Councilman Fusco.
I'd like to pull a committee for a favorable report with suspension of the rules. Amobian, Kamer, Neal, Swirsky.
Any objections? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Yes, thank you. The petitioner's here this evening. Was here this afternoon. We had a good discussion about this. This is believed not to have an adverse effect on the neighborhood. The petitioners agreed to the 4 conditions as placed before them. We recommend approval this evening.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended and the committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Roll call and final passage. Freeman, Fusco, Hope, Kane, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amobian, Sample, Sim, Somerville, Swirsky. Okay. Ordinance authorizing conditional use to construct a storage building at 560 Talmadge Avenue and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Antonucci.
Madam President, members of council, DeVitas and Sons proposes to construct a storage building on this property. The building would be built over an undeveloped grassed area at the southeast portion of the property. The painted masonry single-story building with gable shingled roof would measure 90 feet by 40 feet. A drive with newly aligned curb cut would be built in order to access the storage building from Damon Street. Both the fencing and a landscape buffer along Damon Street will remain. DeVita's Italian Market has been a staple on North Hill for 67 years. They've grown over the years and now employ almost 50 people. Storage space is needed for future growth, as well as retention of current parking for employees and customers. DeVita's Italian Market, in continuing to do business in Akron and serving the neighborhood, and this storage building will assist in that endeavor. Both Planning Commission and Planning staff recommend approval, subject to conditions.
Thank you. Is there anyone here in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this ordinance? Anyone here that would like to speak in favor? Is there anyone here that would like to speak against? Anyone that would like to speak against? Seeing and hearing none, we will close our public hearing. Councilman Fusco.
Thank you, President Somerville. I'd like to pull the committee for a favorable report with suspension of the rules. Mobian. Gamer. Neal. Swirsky.
Any objections? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Yes, thank you. This is a additional storage area to be added on to an existing garage storage area. There's 12 conditions that must be met. Petitioners agreed to. We recommend approval this evening.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended, and the committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Roll call on final passage. Freeman, Fusco, Hoke, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Deal, Amobian, Sample, Sim, Somerville, Swirsky.
Councilman Fusco, what's your pleasure on the rest of the agenda?
I would respectfully request that we file items 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Items 5, 6, 7, and 8 will be filed.
Time on the ballot.
Time will be granted. Public service, Councilwoman Keith.
Thank you, Madam President. On the old agenda, the committee would like time.
Time will be granted.
Oh.
You want to file?
I'd like to take that back.
Okay.
On the old agenda, the committee would like these items to be filed.
Okay. These items will be filed. We'll now move into our new legislation.
Okay. Item number 1 was already handled. Diane Miller Dawson's retirement. Number 2, offered by President Somerville, Councilperson Swirsky, Sample, Sims, Fusco. Resolution denouncing President Donald Trump's inflammatory remarks aimed at Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, Omar, Presley, and Taylor, directing the clerk to forward a copy of this resolution and declare an emergency.
Councilwoman Keith.
Madam President, the committee's report is favorable, and we're asking for suspension of the rules.
Any objections? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Okay. I will turn any comment over to either one of you that originally sponsored this. Councilman Swirsky?
Yes. Councilman Swirsky?
Real quick, just to thank the committee for its passage and my colleagues for considering this. And I also urge all fair-minded people, be they Democrats or Republicans, to voice opposition to these kinds of statements that intimidate, bully, and try to silence opposition. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilman Swirsky. Any further comments? Okay. Thank you. The committee's report is favorable. The rules have been suspended. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? I think we have 2 abstentions. We'll do a roll call.
Okay, 1 sec. Roll call. Freeman.
Abstain.
Fusco. Hoke. Okay, he's absent. Kamer. Keith. Kilby. Milkovich. Samples. Neal? Amobian? Sims? Somerville?
Aye.
Swirsky?
Aye.
Let's see. We got 10 yeses, 2 abstentions, and 1 no. Okay.
All right. Planning.
The request of the committee on item number...
We'll let them read it.
Read it in first. Good idea.
Item number 3, offered by Fusco. Ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to apply for, and if awarded, accept and expend grant funds associated with the lead hazard reduction grant program from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, authorizing the expenditure of necessary local funds, if any, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco.
Report of the committee is favorable, and we ask for suspension of the rules.
Any objections? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Yes, thanks. This is asking HUD for approximately $4,600,000 in the lead abatement program that we have had for years and years, as well as the excuse me, Healthy Homes program. This is, we addressed about 250 houses per year, and 350 children per year approximately benefit from this. We expend about $17,000 per home. And they've, this is a little higher than typical, but we've the federal government, I believe, has extended the period of the grant. So that's why it's a little higher than typical, but hopefully we'll get this and continue to implement this program throughout the city.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended and the committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Roll call and final passage. Freeman, Fusco, Hoke, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amobian, Samples, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky. Okay. Offered by Councilman Neal and Councilman Kilby, resolution urging the Summit County Land Bank and/or the city administration to donate unwanted lots to the Leapfrog Reading Charity in order to facilitate the building of free library parks throughout the city and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco?
Yes, withdrawn by sponsors.
This item will be withdrawn. Oh, Councilman Neal?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We asked to withdraw because we had healthy discussion this afternoon. Heard some great suggestions as far as not donating, but licensing. Before you is a piece that will come in September. I spoke with Mr. Angeloni, and got it right. And this gives the law department a chance to review the draft of the new legislation, where, you know, and I like this idea on everything. Because as our clerk said, God don't make no more land. Excuse the broken English. We should always license it to keep control. Where we license out the land for the libraries, as you see on the resolution, says, a resolution of the City of Akron urging Summit County Land Bank and the city administration to grant the Leapfrog or whoever reading charity a license to build library parks on a vacant lot throughout the city. So this is a draft. This will give the law department a chance to look it over, construct what a licensing agreement would look like. There were also some questions about the organization that the legislation was brought in for, their state certification. It was a clerical thing. They went online. If you look, there's a certificate that shows that they're in compliance with the Secretary of State. It has their article, their papers for the nonprofit, has a picture of the Leapfrog, what they did with Hogan, where they built the library, and then it has also an attached article back when the Beacon did an article on them, applauding their program and how it helps students over the summer. So I ask everyone to please take a look at this. If you have any concerns, please forward them to myself, Mr. Kilby, or to Mr. Angeloni. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Neal. Public service.
Okay, item number 5, offered by Keith. Ordinance determining to proceed with the levying special assessments for the improvement of certain streets in the city between certain termini by providing street cleaning services and street lighting, approving the report of the Assessment Equalization Board, and declaring an emergency.
Councilwoman Keith.
Madam President, the committee's report is favorable, and we are requesting suspension of the rules.
Any objections? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Thank you, Madam President. There is no, this is an annual thing that comes before us. There are no increases here, and we are accepting the Equalization Board report while doing this.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended, and the committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Roll call and final passage. Freeman, Fusco, Hope, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amovian, Samples, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky. Item number 6, offered by Keith. Ordinance determining to proceed with the improvement of Market Street between the termini of Westgate Circle and Portage Path, North Main Street between the termini of Olive Street and East Talmadge Avenue, and North High Street between the termini of Martin Luther King Boulevard and East Market Street by resurfacing and declaring an emergency.
Councilwoman Keith.
Thank you, Madam President. The committee's report, once again, is favorable, and we are requesting suspension of the rules.
Any objections? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
This has to do with our roads, and we want to proceed with improvements.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended, and the committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Roll call and final passage. Ordinance authorizing, roll call and final passage. Freeman, Fusco, Hoke, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amobian, Samples, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky. Okay. Item number 7, offered by Keith. Ordinance authorizes Director of Public Service or his designee without the formality of publicly advertising for bids to enter into contracts for the construction of the Yellow Creek Bank Stabilization Project and declaring an emergency.
Councilwoman Keith.
Madam President, the committee's report is favorable, and we are requesting suspension of the rules.
Any objections? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
I'm sorry that we do not have a large screen here that we can show that this is a sanitary sewer that is exposed. This work is an emergency, and it will be a long-term solution.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended, and the committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Roll call and final passage. Freeman, Fusco, Hope, Kaver, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amobian, Sample, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky. Item number 8, offered by Keith. Ordinance authorizes Director of Public Service or his designee, after publicly advertising for bids, to enter into a contract or contracts for the modernization of 2 municipal building elevators and declaring an emergency.
Councilwoman Keith.
Thank you, Madam President. The committee's report is favorable, and we're requesting suspension of the rules.
Any objections? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Well, I'm going to believe that many of the people here in the chambers tonight rode the elevator up or waited for that elevator to come. We are lucky today that both were working. Not only is it difficult for some people to do many flights of stairs, because we have many floors here, but we are not ADA in compliance. And we have put a lot of money into maintaining these elevators to get the best out of them we could. We have squeezed every bit of juice out of them, so we are requesting now that this be, our rules be suspended and we take care of this matter.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended and the committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Roll call and final passage. Freeman, Busco, Hoke, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amobian, Samples, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky. Item number 9, offered by Kamer, ordinance authorizing the purchasing agent without the formality of advertising for bids to enter into a contract or contracts for the purchase of Faro 360 degree 3D laser scanner and related peripherals and warranties for the use by the Akron Police Department and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Kamer.
Thank you. I'd like to poll my committee for a favorable report with suspension of the rules, please. That's Keith, Swirsky, Sims, and Hoke. All right, thanks.
Any objections first before we move on? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended. Councilman Kamer.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Today we did have a discussion in regards to this new equipment for our crime scene, and we did have some questions from Councilwoman Sims, and I believe the sergeant did reach out and emailed us his information, and with that we're asking for passage.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended and the committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Roll call and final passage. Freeman, Busco, Hoke, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amobian, Samples, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky. Item number 10, offered by Mayor Horrigan, resolution approving and confirming the appointments of Rich Swirsky, John Malish, Bob Keith to the Tree Commission, approving and confirming the appointment of Sarah Vradenberg to the Tree Commission, with her term expiring on January 1st, 2020, approving and confirming the appointment of Joyce Smith to the Tree Commission, with her term expiring January 1st, 2021, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Swirsky.
The committee's report is favorable, and we ask for suspension of the rules.
Any objections? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended. Councilman Swirsky, any further comments?
Just that the Tree Commission was created as a vehicle for citizens to have input into how we handle our trees, how we manage our tree forest areas, and how we make sure that we recognize that trees have value for property values, for our properties. Trees provide help with the environment, and trees generally make living in Akron a very nice place.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended and the committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Roll call and final passage. Freeman, Fusco, Hope, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Amobian, Samples, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky.
We will now go to the portion of our meeting that we refer to as our public comment period. If you wish to speak to council during this time, you may approach the podium. We're going to ask that you please sign in, give us your full name, and state your address. You will have 3 minutes to speak to this body. Speakers are reminded that this is an official meeting. Remarks should be kept respectful and germane to council business. Speakers should refrain from making any personal attacks. Anyone who breaches decorum will be ruled out of order and will be removed from council chambers.
Teresa Gussie, 1213 Beardsley. I would like to talk about 355 Morgan Street. It's an old building between Akron Mills and the Morgan Park. I know that John Valley's had the wall taken down and it's got barriers on the sidewalk because the building's up against the sidewalk. But I'm concerned, as I've been seeing handicapped people, more than one, on the little scooters out in the street. They could go on the other side, I guess, but they go out the street to avoid that section. And thanks, John, for getting that torn down and barricaded. There's a car on the west side by Akron, or a truck, black truck that was out there that's, I don't know who's putting it over there, if that Henry's is or who's putting it, but you cleared it out. And thank you for all your help. And thanks for doing the Exchange Street over by the hospital, because it's easier for us to go to the hospital now. And I hope you get the rest of it done. I know they're doing a lot of work down there by Children's Hospital and before Main Street, but that's pretty bad down there too. And thanks for everything you've done for us.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Gussie.
Good evening. My name is Vicki Zirkle Armstrong. I live on Wellesley Avenue in Akron. I've lived in Akron for 48 years and have watched this decline in jobs and population and the safety of our roads and neighborhoods. The mayor and city council have determined to reverse this trend, and I do support that. On March 31st of this year, the Beacon Journal published an article headed, "Akron Wants to Build Population with New Home Construction." That article said the city determined that population growth is a key to success, so it's offering developers and homeowners 100% tax abatement on new housing or home improvements of $5,000 or more. This program began in the spring of 2017, and developers seemed ready to pounce on that offer, because on November 6, 2017, the Beacon published an article headed Middlebury Commons Senior Housing Development Designed to Boost Wellness and Walkability. That article told us the $11 million project qualifies for $8.25 million in state and HUD tax credits and grants, and the residential portion of the development qualifies for Akron's residential tax abatement, which exempts 100% of the property value for 15 years. That project is well on its way to completion. But this brings me to what my concern is. This is right next door to 15 Broad Street, where the homeless charity village was helping the unhoused citizens of Akron. The city has now totally shut that down. The homeless apparently are not citizens which the city leaders and developers want to see in that neighborhood or anywhere. On Saturday, the Beacon Journal published my letter, which chastised the mayor and this council for their cruelty to our unhoused citizens. But I have a positive proposal I'd like council to consider. For every dollar of tax abatement money given to developers, the city should get a rebate of $0.10 to go towards building, rehabbing, and supporting housing for the unhoused citizens of this community. Those dollars should be paid semi-annually, like the property taxes the rest of us pay. It's long past time that all our citizens should be supported, not just those with money, health, and jobs. Get $1 of relief, tax relief developers, give back $0.10 for homeless relief. I hope to hear some action on this soon, and I brought copies of this comments and the letter to the Beacon, which apparently, I know Tara said she had not read it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Armstrong, for sharing.
Good evening. My name is Kim Brown. I live in Philadelphia, as many of you know. I have properties in West Akron. I'm here to say thank you. So this past weekend on Saturday, July 27th, WNCO, Westside Neighborhood Development Corporation, and Foresters and Kaboom came together again to refresh the original project that we did in 2010. As part of that refresh, we added 3 picnic tables, metal playground-style picnic tables. We added also 3 benches. One of the picnic tables is ADA compliant, so you can pull up with a wheelchair. The other community project that we did is that we installed mini murals. We added 2 Akron is Best murals and Akron is Great murals, and then we asked our young volunteers as well as our older volunteers to complete 1 by 1 mini murals. The larger murals were done by Francine Murphy-Terry as a gift to us, and they look beautiful. I urge you all to go by and see the improvements. We did 167 small 1 by 1 murals by community members. They came out with hope and help others. They're beautiful, and they're on both sides of the fence. So the thank you I would like to extend is many of you in this room have helped me before. So I've thanked you personally, and while I have the mic, I thank you again for all of that help, which is probably better than getting my long voicemails. I wanted to also say that this particular project and I'm going to read it because I don't want to forget anyone, but on this particular project, we had some very special assistance. The City of Akron has long been a partner. You were a partner in the old Kaboom project. You were a partner in housing projects. When we did Keep Akron Beautiful a couple months ago, you partnered with us on that, so always grateful. This time, the Kaboom grant, it's the first refresh project in the nation, and so it was a little shaky. The information came a little late. Thanks to Doug, I really appreciate it for getting in the announcement, the PSA at the very last minute, also your editors. That was very helpful. I want to say thank you to Jim Ashley. He walked along every step of the way, and he was there, city employee Jim Ashley. All day, he helped work, cut, do everything that needed to be done. There's a gentleman by the name of Tom, and I don't know Tom's last name, but we had to call him an emergency. We called 311 to get water turned on. So it was an oversight, it was forgotten, but he sent someone out. We called Friday night, we called Saturday morning. Jim answered the phone Friday night. Jim Batten came out Saturday. Dave Gasper gave him the authority to come out. So having all of those people from the city of Akron really on a very busy Hardesty Park weekend step up and help us do what we needed to do makes me feel proud to pay these awfully high taxes here in the water bill. No, it makes me feel proud to be part of the community. So I live in Philly now, but I will be back. There are a lot of volunteers that helped us. We even had a large group from Oriana House, CBCF. The men came out and worked alongside all of our volunteers. So I really appreciate it. It's a beautiful improvement. It makes me happy that we were all able to come together, because together is how we make a difference. And in the spirit of that togetherness, there's something here tonight that happened to have one day.
Your time's up.
Okay, 1 day and 2 abstentions is shocking to announcing what Donald Trump said. Sorry about the time.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Brown, for sharing. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Carol Coleman Crane. I'm owner of Team Towing and Service. Many of you know me, and I appreciate you allowing me to speak. I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I was born the 5th of 6 children to deaf parents. My father worked in the coal mines in West Virginia, and the hours were long, the pay was low, and then the conditions were very dangerous for a deaf man who couldn't hear the sirens to alert him that the mines were going to collapse. He heard about the opportunities in Ohio, about the rubber factories, and came to Ohio, didn't know anyone, came here with basically all his belongings in a suitcase. And this was before there was disability for disabled Americans. And he got a job at Firestone and retired with 40 years of service. After my father retired, he once told me that he hated working in the factories. It was very hot, it was very hard work. And I was surprised to hear him say this, because in all of the 40 years that he worked, he never complained about working. So what that taught me is what strong character my father had. The disability that he had, he never let it hold him back. And it wasn't even a subject that we talked about, it was just the way of life. He also taught me how to work hard, and he taught me how to persevere. I attended Akron Public Schools. I went on to get my bachelor's degree from Malone University and my master's from Kent State. I've obtained 3 different licenses, a CRC, a CDC, and an IP from the state of Ohio. I wasn't the traditional student. I got married first and had children and then attended college. So it was a lot harder because my children were my priority. It took me a lot longer, but I persevered. I didn't give up. When I found out about the opportunity to take over Team Towing, I certainly had my reservations. So many things could go wrong, but I reminded myself, what if it didn't? And I didn't want to have any regrets. So I persevered. I've always been a hard worker, and we currently, as I've said before, we had 14 very tired, very poorly maintained trucks. I think 2 or 3 of them I never did get out on the road. They were so badly, just didn't even run. I was able to systematically sell those old trucks off and get a new truck and get a new truck. And we currently have 7 flatbeds, 6 wheel lifts, 6 service vehicles, and we have 1 newly added 25-ton heavy, which I'm very proud about. We have between 25 and 30 employees. I have 2 of my gentlemen here. Okay. I'm out of time. I spoke with Captain Schnee and I spoke with Brian Harding about the new dispatching system that's coming in October. Captain Harding, Captain Schnee, very receptive. System is compatible to our dispatch system. I'm asking that I be put on this rotation. Have a nice August, and I'll see you all in September. I have no intention of giving up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Crane. Anyone else wishing to speak during our public comment period?
Good evening, Council. My name is Harrington Hargrove. I'm before you once again in economic development and the black community. We need help. I live in Ward 3. We definitely need help. No economic development in 30 years in Ward 3. How can that be? In the Hub Zone 1 area. No economic development in 30 years. How can this council let this happen? 30 years. I asked you to ride through my community and see it. I don't know if you have or not because no one has ever reported, said anything to me that you have. But for 30 years, Ward 3, come by there and look at it. Hub Zone. It doesn't make any difference with this body. I mean, we've been redlined and discriminated. It doesn't make any difference to this body because you haven't acted on it. No proposals has came up to say what we're going to do. What you haven't done is moved in that direction of helping us. I would like this council to have a favorable report to do something in our community, Ward 3. Come by, I invite y'all to ride by there, the whole body. Just ride through Ward 3 and see what it looks like. That shouldn't be difficult. You have a trolley that goes up on Copley Road with everyone in it. How about getting that same trolley is closer to downtown than Copley Road and see what we don't have? That's all I'm asking. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hargrove.
Good evening. I'm Jackie Easley. I just want to speak on Diane. I met Diane when I was in high school, so I was very proud of her to see what, we started in high school. We used to have intense office education at Brookdale High School when we were coming along, and kind of, we got started with that, counting, typing, all that stuff before the computer age and all that. So I just really wanted to acknowledge her as a peer, and I'm very proud of her. I once read in the newspaper that Akron's financial department was really ran excellent. So I just really wanted to acknowledge her. And next I would like to speak on House Bill 6 was signed into law last Wednesday. So that's your nuclear plants that we're going to be continuing on with. So I don't want to see the city be left behind. So when does clean energy come into Akron? What are we doing for clean energy? Is my question. And following with the water bills, so 85 cents is going to be put on all our bills for the nuclear power plants. plus what we're already paying for the water bills. And who makes the decision on how much is charged per customer on the water bills? You're rolling along paying your water bill, then you get your next one, bam, it's a whole another $100 to be paid on your water bill. So I would like to know who's making the decisions on how much is being charged for the water bills. And I wish everybody a nice vacation, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Easley. I'm sure after the meeting, someone will come up and talk with you about that, okay? Anyone else that would like to speak during our public comment period? Seeing and hearing none, we will close our public comment period and move into our committee assignments. Rules, Councilman Keith. Budget and Finance, Councilman Freeman. Planning, Councilman Fresco. Public Service, Councilwoman Keith. Public Utilities, Councilwoman Samples. Public Safety, Councilman Kamer. Parks and Rec, Councilman Neal. Housing, Councilman Kilby. Health and Social Services, Councilwoman Amobian. Economic Development, Councilwoman Sims. Green Committee, Councilman Swirsky.
12:30.
Is there anything else coming before council? Councilman Neal?
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to say thank you to the City of Akron and to the sponsors. After many years, the ballet and the orchestra were able to come back to Ward 4 and Forest Lodge. And it was really something to see the families and the diversity at the events. You know, Mr. Lieber, that's his pride and joy. But to hear how many people from outside of our city came to participate in those events. So I think they're coming to, I don't know if it's Firestone Park or Goodyear Metropolitan Park next. Good things are coming. But I also want to encourage folks, a lot going on. This coming Friday is the Northeast Ohio Jazz Orchestra. This will be our 8th year with them. And I know they've performed, I think, in some other wards. So I encourage folks to come out Friday from 7 to 9. Then on Saturday is the African American Men's Health Walk and the 5K Run. Two co-chairs, Mount Lord and United Baptist Church came together for that. And then thanks to the city for sponsoring the summer concert series, because every Monday starting August 5th, there will be a concert at Lawton Street Community Center. Last but not least, on August 10th is one of the longest standing traditions in West Akron, which is the West Akron Festival and Parade, going on some 40 plus years. That event will be on August 10th. So a lot going on, not just in Ward 4, but throughout the city. And just want to let you guys know from the residents, they really appreciate being able to walk in their community and participate in events like that.
Thank you, Councilman Neal. Councilman Swirsky?
August 17th is Porch Rocker. I expect each and every one of you to be there, dancing, singing. You can play guitar, bring it. We have over 100 bands playing on, I'm not sure how many porches exactly, but it's a great event. It's a lot of fun. It also helps attract a lot of young people to West Akron and to neighborhoods, and some of them end up buying houses there. So it's an event that's fun, but it's also an event that is helpful.
Councilwoman Sims.
Thank you, Madam President. First of all, I just wanted to say thank you to Sister Kim Brown. I actually wrote about the murals. You know, it kind of reminded me when I first saw it was that maybe we get off the fence as it relates to how we deal with our young folks. Beautiful mural, and I love the upgrade, so thank you for that. You know, we've kind of been around this proverbial mountain for quite some time. In my sister's story today, I've heard her time and time again just asking for opportunity. Her dad was deaf, but I think we hear her. If there's any time in our history, I think as we make some changes, upgrade technology, that we need to be intentional about revisiting this issue so that we are affording other folks opportunities to be included in economic development in our city. I appreciate, there's one thing to get and then get gone. You know, we got people staying in the community, investing in the community, even after high school, going to college, and still staying around because they believe in our city, and I believe in her. And I'm asking us to give that a gander, that we be intentional about talking about equity and inclusion, and including her concerns about being included in her towing company. I would encourage those like Mr. Hargrove, who has come down time and time again. Lord knows I appreciate you and your heart for your community and your consistency. I would encourage you today, we talked about on the table, to get folks together in your community to have this conversation about what you'd like to see in Ward 3, to work with your community, to see how we can work together to bring about some changes I think that you've been asking for quite some time. For everyone that comes down here, I just want, I know we talked about ways to feed back to the community so you don't feel like, you know, we don't always have opportunities to really speak directly on some of the issues, but I don't want anybody ever to think that you've come down to this chamber and you've just come in vain, that you're not being heard, because we do hear you, and we do desire to assist you the way that we've been elected to do that. Finally, I don't want it to be lost on us that we still have in our city issues of gun violence. We still do not have a proper response and resources earmarked to make sure that we're dealing with this issue. Last week, we passed legislation out of chamber where we were seeking $774,000 to support the youth violence, a strategic plan for interrupting youth violence. A simple question again was asked, how are we servicing the targeted population is 15 to 24? I think the response that we got was inadequate. We can't continue to allocate the usage of the report for purposes that don't result in resources being targeted for this community of folks that we identify has the largest, I shouldn't say largest, but the most compelling concerns around violence, particularly gun violence in our city. We can't have kids on one side of the city painting murals of hope if we're not going to do the work that's required to help solidify that their hope for hope is just not hoping against hope, but that we're putting resources where our mouths are. And so I really, 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 really encourage us really to hear what the folks are saying that are coming down here. Let's get a real plan with resources behind them to support interruption of violence in our community, particularly gun violence. And for the community, we are off in August, but know that we're not off in August. We're not showing up here, but our numbers are still open, 330-612-0770. We are still working. So thank you for your well wishes, but we are still on your clock and on your dime. So please don't hesitate to call us. Thank you.
Councilman Hope.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to share or remind everybody that August 17th and the 18th, we have the Props and Pistons Festival at the Akron Fulton Airport. Daily, it's from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. There's free parking over by Derby Downs, and there'll be buses that will take you over to the airport for the activities. Just to mention a few, we've got, they're going to have, for the first year, aerobatics. They're going to have a airplane doing aerobatics. There's a veteran ceremony, car show, custom bike show, exotic cars, a lot of historical, civilian, and military aircraft. They just announced that there's going to be 2 Air Force A-10 Warthogs that are going to be on display there to check out. There's going to be a C-17 transport plane, which is the largest transport plane in the world. You can get 2 semis side by side inside of this airplane and get it off the ground. So it's pretty big. Helicopters, the Air Bear helicopter from Children's Hospital will be there. There are going to be helicopter rides, airplane rides. There's free flight simulators, a kids zone, a lot of things, historical displays, vendors, music, food trucks, a lot of things that are going on. And all the proceeds that are made from this go to children with cancer. So remember August 17th and 18th, 10 to 5. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Councilwoman Amobian.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise just to remind the voters that even though the ordinance did not pass tonight for nonpartisan elections for municipal office holders, I want you to know that's not going to be the last attempt to change what that would represent. What we do know is that most of the citizens in Akron are nonpartisan, are independent voters. We know that. We know that most of the large urban cities and most of the cities around this nation have gone to nonpartisan ballots, and we will get there. And I think it's really important that you understand that we are interested in all voices being heard. And I am not concerned the least bit about opening that floodgate that people keep talking about up, because I think it's important that those individuals who are interested in getting signatures, getting on the ballot, and running for an office to represent the citizens of Akron should be allowed to do that. I don't think you need a D or R behind your name to get in one of these seats or one of these offices. I think it's critically important that we look at the fact that most of the voters in our city, and probably in our county, are independents. And we want to make sure that their voices are heard. So this issue will come back. Thank you very much.
Anything else coming before council? Before we have our motion to adjourn, particularly just for those in the audience, we want to remind you that this body will be on recess, so we will not be meeting here Monday nights at 7. We'll be back in session September 9th. We have a motion for adjournment. Is there a second?
Second.
Seeing no opposition, we are adjourned.